Is $1 million enough to retire off of? A recent study shows that you might need a lot more than that to retire comfortably. And in this video, we're going to take a look at whether or not $1 million is enough to retire on and what kind of lifestyle you can expect if you do retire with $1 million. Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Rankin with Theorem Wealth Management, where our goal is to help you maximize your retirement. Now, a lot of people have the goal of getting to $1 million in savings, but even if you hit that goal, what does that actually mean for your retirement lifestyle? Is that the right number that you should even shoot for? A new study by LendingTree shows that you might need a lot more than $1 million to retire comfortably. And what they did is they calculated how much retirees need in each US metro area, and they based that amount on how much retirees spend in a given year and on the median annual earnings of people between the ages of 55 and 64. According to the study, you would need an average of $1.07 million to achieve the national average retirement lifestyle. But that's just the national average. That number can vary greatly depending on where you live. For example, in the most expensive city to retire in, which is San Francisco, you'll need about $1.37 million. In case you're wondering, San Francisco is followed by New York, San Diego, Honolulu, and San Jose as the top 5 most expensive metro areas to retire in. Now, if you're looking for more of an affordable option, Johnstown, Pennsylvania is the only metro area where you can retire with an average lifestyle for less than $800,000, coming in at $779,765. The next closest options are Cumberland, Maryland, and Danville, Illinois. Now, to calculate these amounts, LendingTree analysts used data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They estimated the annual expenditures of retirees. They calculated the pre-tax amount by assuming a 22% federal tax rate and applying applicable state taxes, and then subtracted the average annualized Social Security retirement benefit for each state. This determined the remaining income that retirees would need on average to maintain that level of spending. They then divided that amount by 4% to apply that 4% rule and calculate the assets that were required to meet that average spending level. That's important to remember that all these amounts get you to the average lifestyle in each city, which makes you wonder, okay, well, what is that average? The study did use data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and in the most expensive city of San Francisco, the average spend was $64,545, which meant that before taxes, you would need $78,745. As you can see in the other top 5 most expensive cities, the lifestyle need was around $75,000 before taxes, compared to the cheapest cities around $56,000. Now, whether that's enough or not will be dependent on your retirement needs. That's why it's important to focus more on your income rather than a total portfolio value. In this study, they also use the 4% rule as a general rule of thumb, which has been debated whether or not it's an appropriate rule to use. We believe this is a good starting point, and it's a good general rule of thumb, but ultimately, retirement should not be looked at as something that you can be extremely rigid about. You can't just say, I've got $1 million, I'm going to take 4% per year, and that's going to be like that for the rest of my life. For most people, they're planning on a 25 or 30-year retirement or even longer. There has to be room for flexibility. In this study, they also did not consider any portfolio growth because this was really just a snapshot in time looking at the cost of living today. And so when thinking about your individual living expenses and what they will be as you retire and as they're going to increase, it's important to consider that you're going to have to grow your assets over time to make sure you're keeping up with that cost of living adjustment and your lifestyle changes. There's also an interesting article by the Wall Street Journal that I'll link to in the description below that talks about what $1 million retirement looks like. What they did is they highlighted 4 retirees that discussed their retirement lifestyle. All of them had over $1 million in savings and investments, and their lifestyles ranged from $50,000 a year to about $100,000 a year. And what was interesting about this article is that each one of those retirees that was highlighted had a completely different story. And it shows you there is no one-size-fits-all for retirement. For some, they may have additional income such as pensions or part-time work that they do in retirement. Others, they might have their homes paid off prior to retirement so they can reduce their monthly expenses. Both the LendingTree study and the Wall Street Journal article don't mention the account type that the savings are actually invested in. For example, if all the assets are in a traditional retirement account where withdrawals are subject to ordinary income tax, that's a lot different than the assets being spread across different account types such as Roth accounts or even taxable investments and savings. Retirement lifestyle is going to be unique to you. Studies and articles like these give you a good idea of where you stand in relation to the averages, but your retirement dream might be a lot different than the average retirement. It's important to understand your specific needs and the best saving strategy for your individual goals. For example, it might make sense to do some Roth conversions in years where your income's lower. Or it might make sense to invest in the Roth 401k or a Roth IRA earlier in your career so that can build up over time and help reduce the taxable burden you'll have in retirement. Instead of focusing on the dollar amount of your portfolio, focus on what income you'll be able to generate once you retire. Now, if you're thinking about retirement, make sure you check out this video where I cover 4 habits that can ruin your retirement. I'll see you there.